So I figured that I would make a video now. Um, it's currently like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I just woke up from a dream. And the dream was actually a school shooting at my school, and it was me and a bunch of other kids in a hallway, and across from the other side of the school, there was a there was the school shooter and another group of kids. And so we all like got down, because there was a window. Everybody got down on the floor instead of like getting away from the window, because there was actually another whole part of the school that we could have gone to. But for some reason we all like ducked down. Really strange. But anyways, in the dream there was actually another guy who had a gun, and so he pulled it out and he was like right in front of me. And then there was one guy that tried to like take him down, and then he tried to and kind of like failed, but he was still like grabbed a hold of him and still like had the gun. And the guy in the dream was like, "Dang, y'all ain't done nothing." Like he was like, "Why aren't y'all helping me?" and uh, and then that's basically whenever the dream ended. And then I woke up, and you can imagine I was kind of fearful, because obviously that's like a stressful situation. Um, and so I woke up, and basically, I don't know how it happened, but one thing led to another, and I was just sat there and thought, and I just started basically questioning the. I wouldn't say questioning. I guess I'd say I stopped believing in the existence of God. Um, Although I didn't really stop believing, I was more of um, battling doubts, I guess, which is something that I've actually done before. There have been other nights whenever I've either been going to sleep and I've just been laying there and thought, or whenever I've, woken up in the middle of the night like tonight, where I've been battling it also. And personally, I think it's some sort of attack from Satan. Satan has done something in my life in order to make me question God. And of course, I have other videos on this channel about the evidence for the existence of God. I have two videos on that. I have two videos about why you can't be anything other than a theist, like practically speaking, and I have stuff like that also. Um, but I guess the main reason that I am still believing in God, and the actual strongest piece of evidence that I have for the existence of God. So I guess I have 3 videos, because there's one that I made whenever I learned that you could use purpose um, as a reason for God's existence. But there is an actually like one that's even stronger, but it's a personal one, which is why I haven't made that in the video. Is because if I told you guys, you'd just be like, okay, cool, well, I don't get anything from that, because there's no way that I can prove to you guys that this situation actually happens, but I can prove it to myself. And so I guess I might as well just go ahead and tell the story. So this is probably many, many years ago, maybe 8, 9 years ago. I was around the age of 8 years old, which means that my cousin was about 9 years old. She's about 9 months older than me. So we're sitting there. Well, I guess I'm sitting there in the living room, and she is in the bedroom. Now, the actual bedroom itself is a few feet from me, but you have to go around the hallway and around back. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching these YouTube videos. And at the time, I don't know if you guys know who this YouTuber is. Um, man, Stephen Share. Yeah, Stephen Share. It's Carter Share. and then this girl named Liz joined them. I think that's like their sister or something. Anyways, the good old days whenever I used to just watch YouTube all day. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching these guys, and I remember one of the videos that he made. I don't know if it was the one that I was watching that night, but I think it's the one that inspired my next set of moves. And it was a video of him, and it was him like camping outside, but he was in a cardboard box, right? So he was filming in a cardboard box, and he had all of his stuff in there, his filming equipment and food and water and all that stuff. And it was 24 hours like living outside, or 24 hours camping outside was the video title. And let's see, either I started watching more videos after that, or I went immediately to this next part, which is where I look at the clock on the TV. So you can imagine that there is like a big TV stand thing. There's the TV in the middle, and then on the sides there's sort of like shelves. And on one of the shelves there was a little clock. And on the clock, it said like 2:57 or something like that. And so, of course, I had been aware of like the staying up till 3 a.m. challenge, all that stuff that used to be very popular and might still be pretty popular on YouTube. The 3 a.m. challenges and all like that. And so I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to stay up till 3 a.m. Of course, I didn't actually like expect anything to happen. And yeah, I was just like, yeah, it's just kind of like a challenge, like whatever, right? However, I think I even go back to my phone, and then I look back up, and then it's 2:59. So I'm like, all right, it's almost 3 o'clock in the morning. Can't wait to see this ghost or see something weird or strange happen, right? Well, I'm looking at the clock, and I am not even lying to you whenever I say that the exact second it hits 3 o'clock, a figure appears. And so you can imagine where I'm sitting. You could say, okay, I'm sitting here. So I guess for you guys, it'd be here, and there's a little hallway, and here's the entrance of the hallway, and this is the whole living room, right? So entrance of the hallway, and then he would have to go here to me, and then my cousin is around here, right? So he walks in a completely, like, flawlessly straight path forward, and then a flawlessly straight path towards me. And so I'm freaking out, right? Because I was going to do a haha funny 3 a.m. challenge, and, you know, like, whatever. But I didn't actually expect this to happen. And so the first thing I do is I don't know if I was already using a blanket. Her house is really cold. Even now it's cold. It's just because she keeps it cold. So I probably was using a blanket because I probably didn't want to freeze to death. But I remember I just grabbed a blanket. Honestly, I don't even know which blanket I grabbed. I just grabbed a blanket and just threw it over myself. And of course, she had those thick blankets, which is going to be part of our discussion on what happens later. So anyways, I'm under these covers, and I am completely terrified because there's an actual ghost, and now the ghost starts trying to communicate with me. The strange thing is, it wasn't speaking, because that probably would have made me like get so scared that I would have passed out. Um, what it did instead is I leaned up against the couch armrest, and the words that it was trying to speak to me just appeared in my brain, and somehow I just knew it was the spirit talking to me. And the spirit said, "I love you." Now that sounds cool and all, but the Bible actually tells us that all spirits on earth are demons. And so that was actually a demon. And if it wasn't a demon, then it definitely looked like a demon. Like, there was a reason that I was scared of this. Best way I can describe it is, you can imagine like Spider-Man's eyes. It's like Spider-Man. It's like the Spider-Man suit, but if it was like this, like a coat thing, like a robe thing, and the robe stretched all the way down to like its feet area, but it actually didn't have any feet. It was floating. It didn't have any legs, and um, and so yeah, it had these like white eye like lines for its eye, completely terrifying. Let me tell you, completely terrifying. So, I I remember peeking over the covers a little bit and still seeing him there, and he was like peeking over me like this. So obviously threw that cover back over. I remember doing that actually. Obviously, I remember this whole story because it's probably the craziest thing that ever happened to me, honestly. Um, and so I threw the cover back on, and I probably did not go back to sleep because I was so scared. But I might have gone back to sleep because I stayed there for the next about 2.5 hours, just sitting under that cover. And I finally peek back over at 5. The number 537 is what pops into my head, but I'm not completely sure if that is the actual date that it happened, or the actual time that it happened, right? But at around 5:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, I peek back over the covers, and he's gone, or it's gone, whatever that was, right? And so I'm very relieved. And so I get I take the whole blanket off of me because it's like a heavy blanket, and especially it was heavy then, and it's also a thick blanket, right? So that's why it's heavy. And so I'm taking it off, and I get up, and honestly I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. I think I saw the back hallway light on. I think that's what it was. And so I go to just see what's going on there, and I see my aunt, um, who's my cousin's mom, right? So she was staying there, and that's why my cousin was there. And I tell her, I'm like, "Yo, I just saw a ghost," um, and she's like, "No, you didn't, right?" Like obviously she didn't believe me. Um, but I was like drenched in sweat, and I think it had to have been her. Yeah. So I guess because I thought it was my grandma that asked me, but that wouldn't have been until 9 o'clock in the morning, so I wouldn't have been sweaty. So my aunt asked me like, "Yeah, why are you so sweaty? By the way, like, what the heck have you been doing like push-ups all night or something?" Right? She didn't say that, but and I told her I was like, "Yeah, I was like under a blanket for the past 2.5 hours, basically, right? Because I saw a ghost." And so she was like skeptical, and she was just like, "Go to bed," right? Which of course, like, if your child comes to you and says that they saw a ghost, like, you probably should be pretty skeptical, right? Because they're like an 8-year-old kid, and they probably heard like something fall on the ground from a shelf, and they thought it was a ghost, right? So Me on the other hand, I like actually just saw a ghost. Like saw the full ghost thing. The ghost talked to me. I was so terrified that I stayed under a cover for 2.5 hours. That type of saw a ghost, right? And so I go back to bed. I wake up at like 7 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And my cousin, so I think I go back to the hallway. I think I gotta go like use the restroom or something. And I go talk to my cousin. And my cousin, so I have not said anything to my cousin at all night. Haven't gone up. My cousin has saw nothing, right? I go up to her. She asked me, guess what? And I don't know what I said, but what she said after I replied, I think she was like, guess what? And I think I was like, I had the same thing. And then she was like, Grandpa Spud, and I was like, yeah. So basically, we had a neighbor at the time, and he was called Grandpa Spud. Now I think Spud was his last name. Um, I think so. I think that's right. And he had died a few years back. I don't know how we knew it was Grandpa Spud. I don't know how we knew it was or how we thought it was Grandpa Spud, right? How we thought it was. But we did. I don't know, maybe it was just the first person that was dead that came to mind, and it happened to be the same person, right? For all the atheists watching here, oh yeah, here's the chance. But, um, but yeah, so we both saw a demon, but we called it a ghost. We thought it was Grandpa Spud, but it was actually a demon. And she told me herself that she saw it as well. And so for me, that's just undeniable evidence. So that's why I believe in God. That's probably really really loud for the microphone. Actually, I should probably block it off a little bit. Does this help the microphone? I don't think it does anything actually. That's still loud. Wow. Okay. Um, I guess we can continue the story. So later, I went to that grandma's house, right? It's Grandma Spud's house, and me and my cousin, we go, and we tell her, and she's like, yeah, actually, I like experience him basically every single night. She told us stories about nights where he'd be rocking in the chair, and the TV would be on at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and she would yell at him to go to bed, yelling at a spirit to go to bed. uh, and she said that he would move around the plates and stuff. I guess you could just lack that up to being dementia. She forgot that she moved the plates herself, right? But obviously, I believe her. What I don't believe her in is that it was Grandpa Spud, right? And that's what she thought. That's what we thought at the time, and that's probably what my cousin still thinks. So, yeah. But that is the undeniable evidence that I have. I have three witnesses, basically three witnesses, myself included, and that's all I need. That's all I need is three eyewitnesses to say that they saw the things that I saw. Now, for me, that's enough. But I do have stories about me being a kid, even younger than this, talking to these ghosts. So, I was introduced a few years ago to the idea of spirits and ghosts being able to talk to children. And I wouldn't have believed it if it weren't for this experience that I had. I was 3 years old. I was old enough to stand up, but I wasn't like 5 or 6, right? So like 3, 4 years old. And they just saw me on the baby monitor, standing up in my crib, looking at straight outwards, like straight outwards like this, and talking. Now, when it came morning time and they saw this, they were probably freaked out, but they came to me and they asked me who I was talking to. And I told them, I think his name is either Dave or David, something like that, right? Of course, I don't remember having this conversation at all. This is just completely what other people have told me that I did. Which is why I don't use it as evidence, right? Because, of course, I mean, they could be lying, but, like, why would they lie, right? And they were like, who are you talking to? I'm like, David. And they're like, how do you know who David's name is? David is a guy that died in that house. And he was a family member of the people that lived there. And apparently no one had told me about David, right? Of course, no one would tell a 3 or 4 year old about someone who had died in there, right? That'd be like terrifying to them. And yet, I somehow knew this guy's name. And apparently, I was talking to this guy. Or something trying to pretend to be that guy. Which is what I think happened. So those are some ghost stories that I have. Ghost stories are always fun. And so whenever I'm doubting God, I always recall these stories. And every time I've recalled these stories, I've just thought to myself, like, even if every religion was disproved and all the arguments for God were disproved, it's like I would still believe because I have this. Like, I literally, psychologically, I cannot deny this event. There's no denying this event. There's no summing it up to hallucination. There we go. There's no summing it up to that because 3 eyewitnesses, right? 3 eyewitnesses. I guess you could say one of the eyewitnesses, other than me, is a kid and the other's an old lady, right? But still, 3 eyewitnesses. And for me, that's enough. And so yeah, that's really why I wanted to make this video, is just to talk about that. But so I guess we might as well just continue the childhood stories, right? Might as well just make it story time. Alright. There is one more, I think, at least one more, childhood ghost-like story. I still don't know what to make of this today, but I guess I'm going to say it. And I'm going to see what other people make of it, right? So I'm laying on my bed and I'm watching a show. And the show at that moment was a woman and a man, like, in a relationship, just talking, doing stuff, right? And I think the show was A Dog's Purpose, if anyone knows that show. And it was, like, the daughter of the guy and I think it was whenever she was dating like that, like Asian guy or something like that. I think it was that point in the show, and I'm watching it, and for whatever reason, I just start like calling for my mom, right? And it's like I call for my mom, and I think the first time I said it, it was fine, right? But I like kept calling her name. I called her name like 8 times throughout the whole thing. And each time I kept saying her name, it was like my voice was being taken away from me, right? It's really weird. I don't really know how to explain it. But it was like the last time I was calling her, it was like just the sound of like a whisper, right? Like just, but I was like trying to scream, right? But it was like only a whisper came out. So there's that story. I don't know what to make of it, honestly. It's just a weird story. I mean, I guess you could just sum it up to like I was yelling too loud, so you know my vocal cords like stopped working or something. Oh yeah. All right. Well, I think that's all my ghost stories I've got. I've told this ghost story before on my channel. Um, yeah, I've told it to a few people also. I guess what I should do now is I should be telling it to my cousin. I guess, so really the reason I wanted to make this video is because I saw Hamza make a similar video. So I was just laying in bed over there, and I was contemplating whether or not I should record this video. And I remembered that Hamza had made a similar video, and he titled it 3 a.m. Thoughts. And so I've been recording for 27.5 minutes, and it's currently 3:26, right? So just in time to be 2 a.m., I guess. But really, this is more so 3 a.m. thoughts. But yeah. Honestly, bro, it's really peaceful right here. You can see I got a candle here. I got a candle on the other side. It's really nice. And I've got a little nice thin hoodie. Put it right here. And then my bathrobe that you've seen me wear so many times. Right, get my camera back up there. I guess we can talk about the pictures on the wall. You can't see them, but there's one above right there. I plan on having 15, right? So I gotta go 5 right there, and then 5, and then 5 below that. And so set it up here. All right. It's still a little bit. Okay, whatever. The one on top is the 7 laws of self-improvement. Oh, I can't read those, but that's it. And the one below that, so that one is the 10 Commandments. And then it's my daily schedule. And then my goals in life. I think there's like 18 goals or something. And then 7 principles of masculinity right there. And then 12 life quotes. So those are the papers that I have so far. I want to have 15 again. I think it'd also be cool. My mom actually suggested this, that I put all the papers in like picture frames. I just don't know what the camera would do with it. So I don't know if there'd be like a glare or something, because there's a light like right there. So I don't know what would happen. But yeah, man. I saw that on Hamza, on his videos. Even now, his videos, he has a wall of papers. I think it actually is behind him in his videos, where he has some stuff. I think some of his just have, like, stuff like, you're a leader, and they have, like, motivational stuff. I don't really want to put motivational stuff, because on this, like, self-improvement journey, I don't want to boast in anything, right? I don't want to be like someone who, starts their videos off, you know, showing off all their muscle or whatever, even though I don't have muscle, so I guess I can't show off, right? Um, but yeah, I just trying to be. I guess you could say I'm trying to be better than these self-improvement guys, but I'm also trying to be better than the person I am today. And so, this isn't me like shaming Hams or anything. It's just I don't want to like overhype myself, you know. I don't look in the mirror and I don't sit there and tell myself like, yeah, you're the man, like, everybody is relying on you. Even though I actually am gaining some subscribers, and so I am actually starting to think to myself, like, if I actually, like, stop uploading YouTube videos, there's actually going to be people that are going to, like, question it and be like, why'd you stop, man? And so that actually, it gives me a little bit of responsibility, which is good, I don't know if I am actually going to be doing this, and so I guess I probably shouldn't tell you, but last night I watched this like film that this guy had made. And it was like a 7 or 8 minute long film, and it was about his life and how he became a millionaire doing like drop shipping and stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, it'd be cool if I made a few films. And so right now, at least, I want to make a few films like that, where it's like a film about pornography and how it's bad and stuff, and then one about like what else, man? One about social media, one about video games, one about drugs and alcohol, one about junk food and sugar and stuff like that. So that's the plan. I guess just whenever I have free time, right? But man, I've been wanting to make one of these videos now for a long time. And really the reason is because in my opinion, if you watch Hamza, like prime Hamza, at least for what I think, was about 2 or 3 years ago. I have a playlist of prime Hamza, and a few of the videos, it's him in his bathrobe, like with low lighting, just like this, and it's just him talking for like 2 hours and stuff, And so I've always wanted to make these videos, and I've wanted to make them for a few reasons. And the main reason is that he did it, right? So I want to do what Hamza did. But I also want to test my knowledge, right? I want to be able to sit here and talk about the same subject for 2 hours straight. I want to have that much knowledge. So I guess update, I've read 5 books so far. I'm currently reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I just finished lesson 1 last night. And so the 5 books that I've read is the Bible. That was the first one. Then it was Thinking Fast and Slow. I think they're in order. Thinking Fast and Slow. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Why is it moving? Come on. Alright. How to Win Friends and Influence People. And a Bible commentary on Genesis chapter 1 through 11 verse 26, which is just everything before Abraham. And then The sixth one is We Who Wrestle with God by Jordan Peterson. And so, next book I'm reading is Rich Dad Poor Dad. The next one is going to be The Compound Effect, and I think the book after that's going to be the book Crush It. So I have those. Then I have The Psychology of Selling by Brian Tracy, Who Moved My Cheese, The Way of the Superior Man, and Good to Great. And I think most, or at least a lot of those book ideas, I got from Hamza himself. So whenever I read all those books, that will mean that I will have read 15 books, I'm pretty sure. So that's pretty good. So I guess the goal is to read all those books at least once before my birthday in November 16th. So that means I have, 5 months exactly? Yeah, about 5 months. Man, this AI tracing is really helpful for like the short videos that I want to be hyper entertaining, but it's really not helpful for this one. So I guess I can talk about that. Actually, I have my journal. I'm gonna get my journal. Oh, the camera followed me. Hey, come back to Earth, please. Alright. There we go. Nope, come down. I'm down here. Alright, there we go. I've only journaled a few pages so far. Alright. So here is what I wrote last night at 7:45 p.m. I used to only spend around 30 minutes or less on every one of my YouTube videos, with the later addition of minor editing that went up to, at best, 1 hour. Now, however, I'm spending way more time. I started off by adding text boxes to mark the different sections of the videos. However, I've since stopped doing that, and instead, every video is largely the same, and now I will add images, videos, and text throughout the video. Since doing this, I realized that I've actually not been working as hard as I could have been, and because of that realization, I'm going to make a change. I pledge to work as hard as I can, to make sure that I do not have free time, and that wasting even a minute has consequences for the next month. Why? That's who I want to be. So you can see this in my videos. I think this is going to be uploaded probably in a few weeks from now, honestly. Or at least like a week from now, right? And so you're probably going to see the big change in the videos, where the videos are going to be like hyper edited, if you want to call it that. Because before, it was like just like how this video is going to be, but just a lot shorter, obviously. Where I would record for like 10-15 minutes, and even I think my first video there was like zero editing whatsoever. And then as time went on, I added text, and then I added the text for like the different sections, and then I added the little blur thing, and then I added music, and then I removed the like text sections, and now I have a little short story at the beginning, which is the Adventures of Beckar. The name Beckar, by the way, because it's like a weird name. The name actually means like in Hebrew or something. It means like the chosen one, basically, right? And so it's like a Neo, basically, right? And so now I've like added clips. I still have the music, of course. I added clips throughout the video, and then whenever I like say a quote that I want people to really think about, I'll put some text boxes, and then like the important part of the quote I'll put in red. Right. And so that's probably going to be like at least the videos from now on. I want to keep making them better and better, But like I always knew that I could have done this. I always knew that I could have been working harder. And so I want to get to a point in life where I'm doing everything like at the best that I could do it. So that whenever I think like how can I improve my videos, I have to actually like go and like analyze YouTube videos and actually think about it. Because most people that are making the content that I used to make, the content is just a recording of them and nothing else. And like they'll get more views than me, which personally I think is either just luck or my thumbnails are really just that bad. Well, which it could be. It could be that my thumbnails are really just that bad, but I don't think it is. I don't think that's the problem. Um, but they know that they could make their videos better. They know they could make their videos more entertaining. And so for a long time I knew that I could have done it, but it's taken me a year and a half to actually make like entertaining content, right? Man, this camera. Wee. Wee. Alright, sorry for making you dizzy, bro. Alright, come back over here, please. There we go. Alright. It's just following me everywhere, man. Wow. So, yeah. I guess it'd be cool to show you guys this. So I went in the trails with my father recently. And on the way back, my grandpa met up with us. And so his dad, so my great-grandpa, died recently. And of course, he was an old-timer. So, yeah, one of these. It's a pocket watch. You got the little chain thing. It's really cool. It needs a new battery, but it's still pretty cool. So thank you, like... There we go. Got it. Okay. I thought it would pop up and you still have to open it. But yeah, you can see it's not like ticking or anything. So it's what those old guys used to use back in like the Industrial Revolution and stuff like that. So yeah. And then this watch right here. The cool thing about this watch, look at this. Right, look at this. Ready? It expands. So that's cool. Now I do have really small wrist, so it actually doesn't fit me. I'm gonna have to have either I'm gonna have to have a bigger wrist soon, or I'm gonna have to have the wall. Okay, it's falling my head. Please stop. Okay. So it's like you can see it moves around a lot. This camera, man, it's doing all sorts of goofy stuff. But yeah. Come on. Why is it going all the way up there? Whatever. I guess you get to see all my papers on the wall. Although, yeah, you can't really read them. Okay, there we go. Yeah, come down. Alright. So, yeah, man. I don't know. Crazy thing for me to think about is I'm going to be a junior in high school next year. So, I remember being in, like, 7th and 8th grade. And I was talking to a guy who was he was in 10th grade. And I was like, "Whoa, like 10th grade? Like that's double digits, you know what I mean? Like 10th grade is crazy." And it's like now I'm here, you know. I've already like stopped 10th grade. It's already over with. And it's like summer's like almost halfway over with too. Like it might already be halfway over with, honestly. Yeah, we got out on the 22nd. So that's 10 more days till the next month, and then this the 19th today. So that's like 29 days. That's like, yeah. And a week from now it's going to be half summer. That's crazy. Man. And you know, people will say like enjoy your youth and stuff like that. I don't buy it, honestly. Because I guess the interesting thing, right, is that people recommend you advice that they took. Or at least they recommend you advice that they think is good. But the problem is that most people aren't living a life that you want to live. That's the problem. And so, if you take their advice, you can be sure that you're either going to end up how they are right now, or you're going to end up who they're becoming, who they're coming to be, right? And so, like, obviously you shouldn't take their advice to enjoy your youth, right? But I think personally, like, let's say from now on my YouTube channel doesn't get any views. Like, it just gets no views. I make no money from it ever. Whenever I'm like 38 years old, I'm going to be glad that I made this YouTube channel. I'm going to be glad that I was out here sharing the gospel. I'm going to look back and be like, I'm glad that my younger self made those sacrifices. Of course, I'm not proud, and I'm not saying that like I'm better than you if you're not making these videos, if you're not spreading the gospel. But of course you should be, right? You should at least have a online presence, right? It's literally the easiest thing to just go on Twitter and say God is good. That's like the easiest thing you could ever possibly do, right? Because you're behind a screen. There's no threat. There's no threat of being crucified like the early Christ followers. But this whole idea of having fun in your youth, it's also what I talked about in my probably what was my latest video, which is titled, what is it titled? It's probably going to be something like "Don't Waste This Summer," right? Or how to not waste this summer. And towards the end, I talked about that. I talked about the fact that whenever you get on this self-improvement journey, you start meditating, you get away from video games, you get away from social media, you get away from all this stuff. And it's like, life is better, honestly. Life is just so much better. And it's even now, even though I've still been watching a lot of social media. And so I noticed it. I physically and mentally noticed the fact that whenever I watch more social media, I'm more depressed. I'm not saying that I'm depressed, but I'm more depressed. You know what I mean? I'm sadder. But I remember going a few days without social media, and just going outside and just looking around outside and just being happy. Why was I happy? Because I didn't have to worry about a number on a screen. I didn't have to worry about what a YouTuber was going to upload next. I didn't have to worry about the next update on my video game. And so I'm actually coming up on 2 weeks with no video games. Today is day 12. And honestly, bro, video games, like, they're overrated. I mean, there's guys at my school. I talked to them and I was like, yeah, I don't play video games. I'm a copywriter. I've been looking for clients. I haven't found any clients yet, but I am doing that. And they were like, oh yeah, we got to get them on Call of Duty, guys. And it's like, honestly, after you take a 1 year break from video games like I did, you don't really, like, you don't go back for long. Because you go back and you realize that life is just worse. Life is just worse with video games. Like, okay, yeah, you get 1, 2, 3 hours of fun a day, but it's like the rest of your life is now just miserable. And I think that's on purpose, honestly. I think they do it on purpose. Because what it means is that people are going to want to play more video games. And that's all these companies care about, is more people playing their game. It's a waste. All these guys that are telling you to have fun in your youth, what they're actually telling you is to waste your youth. Because sure, you might have fun. You know what? It might actually be fun. And sleeping around with a bunch of girls, I'm not denying the fact that that's probably fun. But when you get older and you realize the true nature of these things, I don't want to be one of those guys on his deathbed that's sitting there and he's fantasizing about what he could have been and what he could have done. I don't want to be one of those guys. And that's going to be, and it has been, a lot of people. Maybe even, especially now, like, most people are sitting there on their deathbed and they're asking the age-old question, what if? What if whenever I was 15, I quit video games and I started preaching the gospel? What if whenever I was 15, I stopped watching social media, I stopped scrolling on TikTok, and I started a business? What if whenever I was 15 I started working out? What if I started self-improvement? What if I started meditating? What if I started journaling? I don't want to be that guy that sits there and is just constantly saying, what if? What if? What if? For me, I don't want to be that more than I want to be someone who enjoys their youth. So, it's a lie. It's a lie, man. And it's just what they don't tell you. But also going back to what I said earlier, these people think that whenever you become an adult, you can't have fun anymore. But that's only because they're not actually doing things that are fun. And why aren't things fun? Things aren't fun. Things aren't fun because nothing's new to them. Everything that they did in their youth, they're doing now, except instead of going to school, they're going to work. And the reason they're not having fun is actually a lesson that I've been learning in the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, is that people are working a job, and the reason they're working a job with low pay and terrible labor, the reason they're working that job is because of fear. They're scared that they aren't going to be able to pay the bills. And that's the problem. It's fear. It's fear. But it's also greed. Fear is what gets them to work their job. Working their job gets them money. Money shows them what they can buy. And whenever they see what they can buy, they want more money, and that's the greed. And I don't want to fall into that trap. Like, I might work a job. I probably am, right? Because this YouTube channel isn't growing very fast, right? I've been uploading videos for 1.5 years, and I'm not even halfway to getting monetized, right? I'm not even halfway to getting monetized. So, my goal is to get at least 500 subscribers, but really the goal is to get monetized by the end of 2025, right? Which would mean that first semester of my junior year, I would be not monetized. But whenever I come back over Christmas break, I would be monetized, right? And so I'd be actually making money. And so it's like I might get a summer job, but honestly, I don't even want to work a job because I don't want to be comfortable working a job, right? Most people, they fall into the trap. They fall into the rat race. And the rat race is thinking that you're getting what you need when in reality you're just getting what you want. And what you want is a short-term easy solution to a long-term detrimental disturbing problem. And that's exactly what a job is. A job is a short-term solution to a big problem. The issue with short-term solutions is that they do not fix the problem. And because they do not fix the problem gets worse. And that's a terrible trap to fall down. So my future plans. I'd like to be making 10K a month by the end of high school. And that sounds crazy. Honestly, it's not. It's not. A job will get me halfway there. And, I mean, making $5,000 a month off of YouTube is not that hard, honestly. Okay, well, I'm not going to say it's not hard, but it's simple. And the simple part is to just try your best. Honestly, just try your best. I should probably push this away from me a little bit. That's the simple part. It's just, honestly, if you're like my age, if you start a social media, if you get on self-improvement, you start reading your Bible every single day. Like, and you try your hardest, you genuinely actually try your hardest. Not press record and press stop record and then press upload. Like, edit your videos, film some clips of yourself just doing some stuff. Film a clip of you doing push-ups. Film a clip of you, scrolling on social media. A clip of you, like, getting into bed, waking up into bed. Some clips of you just doing some random stuff, playing basketball, all that stuff. And then you just put that throughout your video. And you just keep adding more and more clips to that. Eventually, like, you've got to start getting views, right? So you've got to put yourself in a position where you ask yourself why you're not getting views, and it's like a genuine question, right? A few months ago, I was asking myself, why am I not getting any views? But I could have answered the question. The answer to the question is, your thumbnails suck. The answer to the question is, your thumbnails suck, your titles suck, and your video sucks. Everything about your videos is garbage. That's the problem. Fix the thumbnails. Actually spend more, like, I would literally spend, you can look at my old thumbnails and you can say, like, oh yeah, obviously. I spent like 30 seconds on my thumbnails. Spend 10 minutes making 3 different thumbnails and then use the little YouTube compare thingy, right? Your titles. What I think I'm going to start doing for the titles of my videos is I'm going to have a notepad and I'm just going to start typing hundreds of ideas into the notepad. Then I'm going to scroll through and like the top 25 that I think are cool, I'll put into a different notepad and then just keep going until I have 3 video ideas. And I think that's going to be the idea, right? Because what I'm doing is I'm making 200 videos and then choosing the top 25, and then of those 25 videos, I'm choosing the top 3, right? And so instead of making those videos, I'm making the ideas, and the ideas are being wasted instead of my time and effort into making those videos. And so I only get the results of the top 3, and then my whole channel is just the top 3 videos, right? So that's pretty good. We are about to cross the 1 hour mark. Wow. I plan to make this video at least 2 hours long, so I might just go till 5:30, which would be 2.5 hours. But yeah, first hour-long YouTube video. Which I think you can tell that this video is my longest video so far. It definitely is. I think it's like 3 times longer than like the biggest video. Or no, there was that one video, Evidence for God, that was half an hour long. So this is double my other video. And I think you can tell because my voice is starting to crack up a lot. So I might have to end it soon because my voice is just going to start dying. But the goal is 2 hours. And I guess the goalpost is being moved to 2.5 hours now. Because at 5:30, I'm gonna start making my shorts for the day. But man, what are we gonna talk about for the next hour? Who knows? With me, man, I could probably talk for the next 4 hours. Honestly, I just don't want to go too off subject, you know. I guess we can go back to the whole life not being fun as an adult thing. Honestly, bro, the reason your life isn't fun is because you ain't fun. And the reason you aren't fun is because you're not living your authentic lifestyle. You're not actually being you. And that's the problem. You've got to actually be you. And you could object to this, and you could say, well, I don't want to be me because I don't want to be judged by other people. Honestly, bro, if you're scared of other people judging you, and that's like what's holding you back, you might just not be successful. Because these guys, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, do you really think they care at all what other people think about them? No, they don't. And you want to know why they don't? Because they realize that that is what's holding them back. They realize it. And they sat there and they told themselves, in whichever form, I don't care what they say. And that's just the mindset that you've got to adopt. You've got to adopt the mindset that I don't care what they say, right? Because when you let other people control your actions, especially if it's the people around you in high school, eventually you realize these people start going off to college. They get married. They have a house. They got bills to pay. They have kids. Their kids have kids. And eventually you're 55 years old. You've been living someone else's life your entire life. And someone else has been living yours. And the whole reason that happens is because you let other people control your life. And when you're 55 years old, or when you're on your deathbed, or even whenever you're 30 years old, and all these people start leaving off to college, off to get married, off to have kids, off to have bills to pay, you realize they all forgot about you. They all stopped caring. And you know what? They never actually cared in the first place. And the only reason you thought they cared is because you allowed them to have control over your actions. And man, that's the biggest regret of so many people. So many people had great ideas. They had great goals for the future. But they let other people determine who they became. And that's the saddest life story ever. The saddest life story ever is having a good goal and not doing anything towards it because of someone else's opinion on you. And honestly, I don't care. I don't care. You know, and I think my friends, honestly, are probably pretty supportive. But of course, I mean, they're my friends, right? So this isn't me, like, this isn't me, like, mad at them or anything. But, they make fun of me for having a YouTube channel. And it's like, who cares, man? Who cares? Because these guys, they aren't on self-improvement. They aren't religious. And you know what that means? That means that my connection between them is only going to get further and further away. It's only going to get further and further away. And so, why bother? Why bother? All these people that you think actually care about you, like, you're not it, man. You're not the guy. Like, you're not the football quarterback, bro. They don't actually care about you. They don't actually care about you. You just are okay with thinking that way. No one cares. They're all gonna forget about you. And that's both reassuring and humbling, right? But they don't care, bro. And which would you rather have? Would you rather have you actually living your own life, doing the things that God has called you to do? Or would you rather work a job your whole life, be unsuccessful in anything you do, and not for a good reason? Not because you're making a whole bunch of money and you're giving it away to charity. Not because you're making a whole bunch of money and you're paying for your cousin's colleges and your family's debt and all that. Because you're lazy. And the reason you're lazy, and the reason you're going down the path that everybody else goes down, is because you've allowed these people to control your life. That's like, again, bro, they don't care. Like, the people around you don't actually care about you. Most of them don't actually care about you. They don't care about you in the sense that, like, when they judge you, that's how they constantly think about you. I'm not saying that, like, your parents don't love you and your family doesn't love you. I'm saying, like, the friends or the people around you, your friends, right? The people around you that are making fun of you for having a YouTube channel, that are making fun of you for being Christian, that are making fun of you for, like, reading the Bible at school instead of, like, or like, reading your Bible instead of going to that party, or, staying at home working or working in the back of class. These people don't actually care. So don't give them complete control over your life. Because if you give them complete control over your life, you have no idea where you're going. And that's terrifying. You have no idea what road you're actually walking down. And before you know it, you're 40 years old. And people can be cruel, man. But you can also learn from it. You can also learn from it. And the way you learn from it is by first asking yourself, okay, is what these people are saying about me, is it actually true? So like, let's say like, I'm actually kind of tall. I'm like almost 6 foot. Let's say I was like, like 5'3" or something, and people were like, "Oh, haha, man, you're short, right?" The first question, okay, so like, is that true? Yes, it's true. All right, accept it. Fine, I'm short, right? Second question is, can I change it? No, I can't change it. So forget about it. Who cares? All right, so I have a YouTube channel. People make fun of me. Oh, you're a YouTuber. You're not actually going to be successful. You're just wasting your time. You know, you're wasting your youth. You should be go having fun. You know, you shouldn't be on self-improvement at 16 because you're just going to waste your youth and not have fun. All right, all that, right? Is it true? Yeah, it's true. Can I change it? Yeah, I can change it. All right, the third question, the final question. Should you change it? Should you? No, you shouldn't. Because this is what God has called me to do. And it might be what God has called you to do. And if it is, you should listen and you should start making YouTube videos. But I shouldn't change it. So who cares? Who cares? Like, you can't allow your emotions to think for you. If you allow your emotions to think for you, then, I mean, how much control do you actually have? Like, people think that they have so much control over their actions. But if you're led by fear and greed, you don't have that much control. You don't really have that much control, bro. And it's just sad to see. Because I can already see this happening, man. There's already kids in my school, already kids doing drugs, already kids drinking, already kids, you know, sleeping around. And it's like, these guys, it's not like they're completely oblivious to the fact that they're making the wrong turn. And it's just, I feel bad for them, man. And the reason I feel bad for them is what I've been talking about this whole video, basically. They're going to be on their deathbed. What if? What if I didn't vape as a kid? What if I didn't do drugs? What if I didn't go to those parties? What if I didn't drink? What if I spent my youth working on myself? What if whenever I was 20 years old, I started an online business and I started making 10K a month, 20K a month, 100K a month, and I started giving money to my family, providing for my people, giving away to charity. And I mean, that's going to be it. That's going to be it, man. Laying on that hospital bed. It's like a lifetime of pain and regret is going to come over them all at once. And people can't handle that, man. They can't handle that. It's too much. And they're going to think that they wasted their life. And honestly, they did. They did waste their life. And they wasted their life for one of two reasons. They thought it was the right path, and it wasn't. Or other people told them it was the right path, and it wasn't. And that's the life of so many people. Behind a screen. All day. Behind a screen, junk food, drugs, vapes, alcohol whenever they get older, hopefully. Hopefully, as in they shouldn't be drinking as a kid. They should be drinking only as an adult, but they also shouldn't be drinking, right? And it's just, I look at that and I go, I can't live that life. Because I know what it's going to cost me. And, you know, It's the story of Cain and Abel. Cain goes and he kills Abel, and God punishes him. And Cain says, "This punishment is too much for me to bear." And that's how it's going to be with these people on their deathbed. And they might, shake their fist at God and say, "My punishment is too much that I can't bear it." If there's any moment in your life that you should be doing what you know is the right thing to do, and what the Bible tells you is the right thing to do, it's now. It's now. People say, "Oh, whenever I'm 18, whenever I'm out of school, I'll quit vaping next year." It's like, now is the time. Now is the time. Today. This minute. The longer you wait, the more regret you're going to have on that deathbed. I mean, even me, right? Like, from the age of 9 until 13 years old, I wasted so much time on video games, YouTube even earlier. I started watching YouTube whenever I was like 3, 4 years old. And I look back on that time, and because whenever I was 8 years old, I started working out in my bedroom. I installed an app. It was 6-pack in 30 days. And obviously I wasn't going to get a 6-pack because I was 8 years old. You don't build muscle at 8 years old. But like, imagine if from the age of 8 until now, I like worked out at least once a week. Like, imagine at the age of 8, I was doing like push-ups in my bedroom from like then until now. It would have been a great story. It would have been a great story. Because what? I'd have an 8-year fitness journey, an 8-year self-improvement journey at the age of 16. Like, that's people would watch that. People would watch that. And so honestly, I don't really have that much regret, but it would have been better for me. It would have been better. And so maybe I've been lucky, but honestly, I think a lot. And I've realized I already have regret for the bad choices that I made. So why on earth would I continue to dig that hole deeper? Like, I've spent the past 4 years trying to dig myself out of the hole that I dug myself, but that society gave me the better and better shovel to dig. It's like, I got a wooden shovel and I'm digging a hole. And it's like, YouTube's like, "Oh, here, take this, aluminum shovel or whatever, metal shovel." It's like, "Oh, thanks." And then video games is like, "Oh, here, take this iron shovel." It's like, "Oh, thanks." And then it's like, TikTok is like, "Oh, here, take this diamond shovel." So now I'm just digging it more and more efficiently, right? So I've spent the past 4 years trying to dig myself out. And I think the only person that can truly dig you out is Christ. So why would I look back? Why would I look back? It's it's just the lie of the modern world, It's just the big lie. And the lie is that if you chase happiness, you'll get it. It's not true. It's not true. In fact, By chasing happiness, you're going to ensure that you don't get it. Happiness comes and goes. It's here for a little bit, and then it's gone. There's no point in chasing it. There's no point. It's faster than you, right? You can imagine it as a little wind, and you're out here chasing the wind. It's like eventually the wind just like stops, and it's like, okay, you can have me. But even if you weren't chasing it, it still would have came on you, and then it would have gone away soon. But it's there, and there's no point in trying to make happiness your entire life, because it's not gonna happen. In fact, I can guarantee that there probably isn't going to be any more than a 1 week period where you're happy. Maybe even you're only happy for like 10 minutes every month. You know? I mean, maybe life's just that bad, but it's like, stop chasing happiness, because it's meaningless, it's pointless. Instead, you should be chasing God. And by faith in God, you'll get happiness. Not all the time. You know the story of Job. He believed in God, and honestly, because he suffered because he believed in God. And sometimes that happens. Right? The early Christ followers, the ones that were still getting crucified for their faith, their lifespan after coming to Christ was like 3 to 5 years. And they knew it. They knew it. But they were willing to make that sacrifice. Christ says in the Gospels, "Whoever would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever seeks their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for Christ's sake will find it. Whoever chases their own life is going to lose it. Whoever sacrifices their own life is going to gain it." Most people are chasing their life. Sacrifice it. And if you sacrifice it, you're going to get it back. And you're going to get it back in its rightful and good form. And that is the form of the second life, of being born again. That's what gets you into heaven. And this chasing of happiness, it's not the way. It's not the way. Man, it's just, it's sad to see where the world has come. It's sad to see it. And it's like, I'm not judging the world. I feel bad for the world. I feel bad because it's like, they're all suffering now, but these people are also going to suffer in hell. And hell is infinitely worse. It's infinitely worse. And I'm not saying this as in I want people to go to hell. I don't want anybody to go to hell. Not at all. Because that is such an evil thing to do. Sit there and say, I hope you go to hell. That is like the worst phrase you could ever possibly utter. Because that is the wishing of the worst possible thing upon someone. And it's the worst possible thing because hell is, to the human brain, is just an unimaginable place. It's just everything bad about life squished into one place, and even worse than that. And maybe infinitely worse. Maybe infinitely worse. So, that's one lie. One lie is, if you chase happiness, you'll get it. The second lie? The second lie is, you can do what makes you happy, and it's gonna be okay. It's a lie. It's not true. This isn't to boast. This is just what happens whenever you become a Christ follower. Whenever you become a Christ follower and you actually go on the adventure of your life, you're going to become a man that women desire. And I know that if I continue down the path that I'm going right now, that's going to happen in the future. And so men are more, they're the most attractive in their life from the age of 25 to 35. That period, that decade, is whenever men are most attractive. And so what's going to make them more attractive? Muscle, money, intelligence, charisma, speaking skills, purpose, and that's all the things that are ahead of me. And so it might become a temptation in the future to start sleeping around with girls. It's a lie. It's a lie. And it's not worth it. Why is it not worth it? Firstly, it's a sin against God. And that's enough. That's enough, and it should be enough for anyone to say no. However, if that isn't enough, then what I'm going to say next should be. It should be enough, right? It should be enough. Men who sleep around with many girls lack purpose. They're hedonistic, which just means that they're chasing their own desires. They're narcissistic. They're nihilistic, some of them. And they're the descendants of Cain. And so what is all that? Narcissistic is just arrogance. Because if you sleep around with a bunch of girls, that means that not only are you successful, which is something that you can boast about, but you've also been attracting a bunch of girls, which is another thing that you can boast about. So that's why you get arrogant. And pride is before the fall, right? And why is pride before the fall? When you get proud, you think you're the stuff. And when you think you're the stuff, you ignore what's calling you to a better life, and you answer to the other thing that's calling you. And the other thing that's calling you is the demons, is Satan, is lust, is greed, is materialism, is lying, is arrogance, is pride. And that's why pride is before the fall, right? Adam and Eve, whenever they fall, Both of their sins are pride. Eve's sin, I can clench even the serpent, the most poisonous, to my breast, and I can integrate him into my life. Adam's sin is, well, anything for you, darling, right? Adam wants to impress Eve by accepting anything and everything that she brings to him. And that's pride. It's pride because Eve thinks that her compassion can extend anywhere, and Adam because he thinks he can do anything. Pride. The fall. Now, Cain and Abel's sin is more like work. And work is just the sacrifice of now to the future. So, but going back to the lie that you should do what you want, and that what you want is the best thing for you to do. Why is it a lie? It's a lie because we're not perfect. We don't know what's right for us, especially as kids. The terrible thing is, that was bad. The worst thing is, they're telling kids this. They're telling kids my age. I mean, even me. I was going to say me and all my knowledge. That's pretty arrogant. I know that I know nothing. Even me with what I know, I still know that I'm going to mess up. I'm going to make so many mistakes in the future, I won't even be able to count them on paper. So I should be listening to my elders. I should be listening to the Bible. I should be listening to pastors. And I should be following their advice. Because even me, simply because of my age and inexperience with life, no matter how Christian I think I am, no matter how close I think I am with God, no matter how much all of that, I think all that's working out, I don't know anything. I don't know anything. And honestly, neither does anybody else. But there are people that know a heck of a lot more than I do, and so I'm going to be listening to those guys. I'm going to be doing what they say and what the Bible says. The third lie. The third lie. The third lie is you can give 90%, you can give what's second best, and you can still make it by. That doesn't fly. And that's the story of Cain and Abel. Cain makes a sacrifice, and Abel makes a sacrifice also. Abel's sacrifice is the best that he can bring to the table. Cain's sacrifice is second best. And God looks with favor on Abel, but on Cain and his offering, God did not look with favor. And so Cain was angry and his face was downcast. And then he sins and he goes and he makes it worse. And that's exactly what the world is teaching us. The world is teaching us that we can give Cain's offering. We can just give whatever and we'll make it by. That does not fly with God. God does not accept second best. God accepts the best. And the best alone. And why? That's what it takes. Getting on this path of self-improvement, truly changing your life, becoming a Christ follower, it requires the biggest sacrifice you can make. And what's the biggest sacrifice? Your life, everything, all at once. Your life, the people that you love, sacrifice it all. And if you don't, you've made a pretty big mistake. And the mistake is Cain's error. Thinking that you can get by with second best. And what happens to Cain? He gets jealous because you're going to see other people that made the proper sacrifice and they have success. And you're going to shake your fist at God and blame him. And you're going to get more angry and more vengeful and have more regret for your mistake, that you're going to go and kill the righteous. And that's maybe the Pharisees, right? That's the religious leaders that kill all the prophets. And is it worth it? Yeah. It's worth it. Christ says it. Therefore, anyone who wants to follow me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. For whoever seeks their life will lose it. Whoever seeks their life will lose it. And whoever loses their life on purpose for Christ's sake is going to gain it. Whoever loses their life for Christ's sake will gain it back. And that's the gospel. The gospel is sacrifice everything for God's sake. And if you sacrifice everything, you're going to gain it back. That's the gospel. And so you've got to be willing to sacrifice it all. And so me, laying there on that bed before I recorded this, I made the choice to make this video. And what is this video? This video is a sacrifice of 2.5 hours of sleep. And why? Something called me. And I obeyed. I listened. Such is the way of those who believe. Those who believe receive their calling. They receive their paper slip that says, you must sacrifice this. And they accept it with joy. And why do they accept it with joy? Because they know that they're going to have treasures in heaven. I'm taking a pee break. Had to go pee for the past half hour. Alright, bro, I'm gonna go fill up my water bottle too. Alright. Oh, the camera probably followed me around the whole time. Down here, bro. There we go. Alright. So, where were we? The third lie. What was the third lie? The third lie was you could give your second best and still make it by. Okay. What's the fourth lie? The fourth lie is that you cannot take responsibility for your actions and you won't be punished. So that is... what story in the Bible is that? That's Jonah. That's Jonah. What happens to Jonah? Jonah is called by God to go and what we would call preach the gospel in the city of Nineveh. Now, this is the Old Testament, right? So there's no gospel, but you get what I mean, right? And he disobeys God. He says no. And so at this point, he's on top of a hill. He's there. God calls him, you know. He goes down the hill onto a dock. And then he goes up down the dock onto a boat. He goes into the sleeping quarters of the boat. He sleeps. Then he gets cast into the sea. And then he gets swallowed by a whale. And then he goes into the stomach of the whale. Right? So he just straight down into the belly of the whale. And why? Because God called him and he didn't obey. He didn't take responsibility. And people think that they can take responsibility when in reality they're about to get swallowed by a whale. Right? Maybe even longer than 3 days. Maybe forever. So take responsibility as much as you can bear. And maybe even more than you can bear. I don't necessarily think that you can bear too much responsibility, because it's the Christian principle to deny yourself and take up your cross as did Christ. And Christ bore the responsibility of the entire world. And so we cannot die for other people's sins, right? Because it's already happened. Jesus already died the death. But we can take responsibility for the sins of the world and try to make earth more like heaven will be. That is what you do whenever you preach the gospel, whenever you do good works for the sake of trying to make earth better. You are taking the sins of the world on your own shoulders and embracing it. And that's what we've been called to do as Christ followers. And so take on that responsibility, bear it. Because if you don't bear it, then you're not going to live your own life. You're not going to be living the adventure that God has called you on. And that's a terrifying thing to not be living. So I want to get through 7. So the fifth lie. The fifth lie is that you don't have to be a monster. That's the fifth lie. You don't have to be a monster. The 7 principles of masculinity. I'm going to read out a few of them. Responsibility. The ability to respond properly to opportunity. And competence. Competence is the ability to respond in the proper way when needed. So what is that? That is the ideal man. Who is the ideal man? Come back down here, please. The ideal man is the good shepherd. And who's the good shepherd? The good shepherd is Moses, is David, is Noah, is Abraham, is Isaac, is Jacob, Israel, is Jesus, is God, right? The good shepherd. The good shepherd is the person who is humble, who is kind, who is a good person, but who has properly integrated the monster inside of them. And what does it mean to properly integrate the monster inside of them? What it means is that when called to respond to a threat with violence in the proper and good way, you are capable of such a feat. And why is that important? The good shepherd leads the vulnerable through the harsh cold winter, through the hot winter, through the hot summer, through the snow, through the rain, through the thunder, through all of it. And he leads his sheep to food and water. Now, what happens when the wolves show up? He is prepared to keep the wolves at bay. He is prepared to defend the flock. So that's the good shepherd. The good shepherd is the gentle giant. The man who is strong, who is the, UFC fighter, whatever, who is capable of extremely violent acts, but who learns how to control it and only use it when it's necessary. The sixth lie. The sixth lie is that you should be proud of yourself. We already talked about why you shouldn't be proud of yourself. We talked about what happens when you are proud of yourself, but we didn't talk about what happens whenever you're not proud of yourself, whenever you're humble. And humbleness is a principle of masculinity. So, we can start off by saying what else happens whenever you're arrogant. One of two things can happen. A, people respect you, and the only time that people respect arrogant people is if the person isn't actually that arrogant. They're just saying what they did, and what they did is good or impressive or cool. The other thing that happens is that people just hate you. They just look at you and say you're not him. You're not that guy, right? And so one of those two things happens. And so sometimes you can boast and you can say, "Oh yeah, look at how strong I am." People go, "Whoa, wow, that's really impressive." But I mean, if you just keep doing that and you say, "Oh look, I'm so much stronger than you. Look at me, bro. I mean, you're nothing." Well, then obviously people are gonna hate you. Because you're just that... You're that guy in the worst sense possible. You're that guy that no one wants to hang out with, right? And so what happens if you're humble? If you're humble, the opposite happens, and people around you feel better about themselves. and they feel better about themselves because you're one less person that they have to compare themselves to. And that's good for them. And it's good for them because they no longer think lesser of themselves. That's one reason. The second reason is that you're just not someone who's arrogant. That's it. The simple fact that you're just not an arrogant person is going to attract people to you because they know that they can be around you and that they're not going to feel lesser about themselves. And if they do feel lesser about themselves, they know that you are going to help them to not feel that way, right? And so it's just positive reinforcement. It's basic math. Person comes up to you, and you treat them good. They're happy, and they want to stay happy, so they want to be with you. Person comes up to you, and you treat them badly. They feel sad. They don't want to feel sad, so they don't want to be around you. It's just simple math. So don't be that person. Don't be that person that no one wants to hang around with because you're too arrogant and prideful about who you are. Because no one wants to be with you. And why should they? All right. We're approaching the 2-hour mark. Wow. The seventh lie. We're already there. The seventh lie. The seventh lie is that you can lie, and that lying isn't that bad. Well, do I have news for you? Lying is terrible. And the reason it's terrible is, again, because people aren't going to want to hang around with you. They can't trust you. Well, people already can't trust you, right? Because you're a human. They're human. You can't really trust each other. Now, if you make it known to people that you're a liar, they're really not going to want to try and trust you. But you have to have some sort of trust in order for a society, in order for a civilization to remain in peace. People have to trust each other. And if they don't trust each other, nothing gets done. Because humans are pretty cool. We're pretty good at a lot of things. But we cannot do anything without the help of others. Now, there is the notion in the Bible. There is the idea that one righteous man goes to an unrighteous place, and that's enough to turn things around. And yes, I agree with that. But it is way better. Well, that only happens whenever the people of that town are trusting each other. You have to trust each other in order for anything good to get done. This candle is really helping me keep my hands warm. Alright. So you can't lie. And lying is just like a job. It's a short-term solution to a long-term problem, and the short-term solution doesn't work. Or it works for a little bit, and then it stops working. And that's most lies. Most lies, I guess you could say no lies actually work. Okay, can you, the camera please? For the last 5 minutes, can this camera stand still? So, when you tell the truth, well, what happened to Trump? What happened to Jordan Peterson? What happened to Andrew Tate? What happened to Alex Jones? What happened to Jesus? What happened to the apostles? What happened to the early Christ followers? And that's the price you pay. I'll be honest, bro. It's not easy to tell the truth. It's not. And to tell the truth all the time, or at least to not lie, as Peterson would put it, is to sacrifice everything. Everything except God. Because Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. So if you sacrifice everything because of the truth, you won't sacrifice God. You'll sacrifice everything else. Everything that's not eternal has to go. Because it's not eternal. It's going to go anyways, so it needs to go now. And it needs to go voluntarily. And if it doesn't go voluntarily, it's going to go in a way that you don't have control over and in a way that you don't want. And that's never good for anybody. Anybody. So my final message and summary of this video. I believe in God, and you should too. Stop caring about what other people say about you and the 7 lies of the world that you can do whatever you want and get away with it. It's not true. It's not true. And the world's pretty good at lying. And it's good at lying because it's like the lie of the serpent, right? So the lie of the serpent is truth with a lie snuggled in there. There's a secret lie in the shadows. And you have to be paying attention in order to see it. Now it's obvious, but you do have to still pay attention. And you have to pay attention because the serpent is more crafty, right? The serpent is wiser, is sneakier than the other animals that God had created. And the lie is God's command reversed with a lie in the middle. And that's what it is. It's a truth statement, but all messed up, right? And that's what people say whenever they say this is effed up, right? They say it's effed up. Well, F is a sexual reference, right? So whenever you say this is effed up, that means like a demon or someone has had their way with that thing and they've controlled it and turned it into whatever they want it to be. And so that's what that means. And that's what the world is, right? Satan has had his way with the world. So that's that. The final minute. What do I have to say? Well, whoever would follow me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever loses his life, let's say it in the proper way. Whoever seeks his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for Christ's sake is going to find it. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. But whoever does not believe in him stands condemned already. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. And the Lord our God, Jesus Christ, will be with you until the end of the age.